Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you might be. I am Nicole BC, and you know everything. Well, Kimi, I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. I have to pull up your actual bio because there's some words in there like certified master neurolinguistic hypnotherapy life coach that I was like, I got to read that.
Yeah.
I had the absolute delight of participating in a program with Kimi, and I am thrilled she has somehow managed to find the time and space because she is creating protons all around the world. She's a Reiki master practitioner, a certified NIA instructor, and she is the pioneer Filipina life coach, y'all, coming live at you from the Philippines. So we are currently partying on a Friday night and we're having a really great time. Kimi, thank you. I am legitimately really excited because your energy is just like infectious in the best of ways. Like if you want to be infected with positivity and possibility and potential, I mean, essentially, I think what you're saying is like, sign me up for protons.
Right.
Then Kimi's your gal. So, yeah, sorry, I'm fangirling right now is what's happening.
Thank you. No, I'm fangirling. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we all know I'm really excited about it. And I think it's just so important for me, at least, to try and find as many voices that I think are all kind of talking about and sharing similar ideas, but especially from different perspectives, from different places. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I think my listeners know I kind of like to sprinkle in some similar topics to find some of these threads that like pull us all together. And I think you're going to share some things that people are going to get really, really, really excited about. So to begin, Kimi, how did you become the pioneering Filipina life coach? Where did that journey start? How did you get there? What are you doing now? Spill the tea.
Oh my gosh. I was lost. I guess 15 years ago, I was lost. I was in despair. I can't even say like sad. It was more than being sad. I felt like I was in despair. You know how like low that feels or how dark that feels. And I guess at that time, all of these buzzwords about mental health wasn't there yet. So I just felt lost and in despair. And at night, like at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I would just cry for no apparent reason, just really wondering what's happening to me. And I would literally, like try to hit my chest to feel something, but I wasn't feeling anything. I'm like, my gosh, what's happening? Like, I'm not feeling it. Like, but I'm not sad. I'm just, I can't understand. So I thought, I think I need to talk to someone. I don't think I need a doctor, but my parents are actually marriage counselors. So as I was growing up, I saw them talk to married couples, help them out with their marriages, their relationships. So I knew already at a very young age that if you just talk about it or ask help from somebody, then you can probably figure it out with a little help. So I thought, who can help me? What can help me? And I don't know where I got that term life coach, but I started Googling, I started typing it down online, life coach Philippines, life coach Manila, life coach Makati, where I lived, but nobody was popping up. Like there was no one. So again, like from despair, it was like, oh my gosh, there's no hope. Like, what's going to happen? What am I going to do? So I just thought that was a gap, right? Like nobody was there, but I still needed help. So as I was in search for a life coach, I placed my email address to each and every website that I saw. most of them were US websites. And there's a little box there that says put in your email address if you want to receive a newsletter. So I did. And one day I received an email for a certification on neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy and Reiki. And I said, I think this is the one. I think this is it. So I went to San Diego, California, and I got certified. When I got back, I started my practice.
Wow. So many things. Imagining you, the Kimi I know today, even shedding a tear, except a tear of joy. It's like kind of hard to believe. I have so many questions. Firstly, okay, do your parents have the perfect marriage?
No.
Having two marriage counselors married, I'm like, but were they perfect? No, that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of a silly question, but
I guess, well, I'm going to answer and say no, for sure. They always say all families are dysfunctional. It's just at different levels, right? So I guess that's where we all are. Like, we're all in dysfunctional families.
As a coach, I tend to work with people who are very invested in their growth and their own development. And oftentimes I'm working in tandem with the therapist. Why did you seek out a coach instead of a therapist?
I thought that maybe I would be sick if it was a therapist, or I just wasn't well informed. It wasn't a huge thing yet back then. So if you go to a therapist, then there's really something wrong. And perhaps I didn't want that there's something wrong with me. So if it was a life coach, it was more like just somebody, like a friend that you're going to talk to.
What do you think the difference is between therapy and life coaching?
I guess the life coach really just holds your hand through it all. Like, now, thinking about it and knowing that there are people who go through therapy, I feel like they're kind of the same, actually. But maybe the life coach is more bordering towards like being a cheerleader too. Cheerleader and coach. Like, yes, you can do it. I think the therapist is a little bit more serious. I don't know. I mean, I've never been to a therapist, so
you were just raised by two, so you might have been through more therapy than anyone else ever.
Actually, I mean, I saw couples throwing, hitting pillows, not to each other, but releasing, like they were doing gestalt. I mean, as a young child, I saw all of these things already, and I don't do that in my sessions.
It's funny. I was trained to recognize therapy as a very different modality than coaching. So in therapy, you're processing, you're releasing, and that's kind of it. And if someone is depressed, if someone is experiencing debilitating levels of anxiety, et cetera, like that's a space for therapy. Whereas coaching is for like action and accountability. Correct. And your therapist isn't like telling you what to do, and really shouldn't. Whereas a coach, I don't think a coach should tell you what to do. A coach should help you discover what it is that you want to do, and then work out strategies to be successful in that. However, listening to you makes me think there's probably a really exciting blend. And I know there's a lot of therapists who are coaches and vice versa. I mean, you have so many certifications and you have so much experience. I want to talk a little bit about that because I'm not sure everybody knows what NLP is or an NIA instructor. But I think as we evolve in terms of just the, people, let alone our own individual paths, it's useful to know there is support out there, and maybe just seeking out the support you think you need without even really worrying about like, do I need a therapist, or do I need a life coach, or do I need a business coach? Because I'll tell you what, I think I had 3 different clients this week say that felt more like business therapy. And I was like, I mean, okay, like get out there, tiger, kick some ass. So, yeah, maybe I'm just getting caught up in like semantics.
You get to it, for me, like you meet them where they are. Like I meet
Mm,
them where they are. So if it's all of a sudden it's a business conversation, then I help them out with their business. If
mm,
it's about healing, then I get to help them with the healing. I mean, this is why there are so many tools in my toolbox, is that whenever they come to me and they need something, then, maybe this could work. But really, I have no, I mean, I'm looking at the phone and I'm seeing you know everything. And I'm telling myself, but I don't know everything. I really don't. I feel like every single day is an experiment. Like I'm playing, right?
mm.
So I just love that there are so many tools out there, so many people who are willing to support in their own unique way, and it's available.
Have you, since you pioneered life coaching in the Philippines, have you
Mm.
noticed more? I think you even, do you certify people
Right
to be
now,
coaches?
yes. Yes,
Okay.
I certify people to become sacred space holders.
Well, let's start there. What does that mean?
Sure. So more of like an active listener. So you can be a business owner, you can be a mother, you can be a doctor, lawyer. We have bankers as well, people in the IT industry, and they all love the sacred space tools because they get to learn and lead their people in a more growth mindset way, right? And
Mm,
they get to receive them and allow them to become their full selves without any judgment. I think that's sacred space. So they don't even need to say anything. They just need to really listen to them. And that's like a core thing that a coach or a therapist or anybody actually should have. So sacred space certification is for everybody, I always say.
mm. What is master neurolinguistic
Uh,
hypnotherapy?
yes. So neurolinguistic programming is really the reprogramming of the mind. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have a fixed mindset, or it's not, or like you're a little bit more negative, on a negative side, negative thinker, then we try to help you become more positive, have an open mind as well, have a growth mindset, also just changing the narrative, changing the programming so that you live a more celebrated life.
Have you, so full disclosure, I might have
Mm.
talked a little shit about NLP because I've seen it
Yeah, yeah.
used negatively and positively.
Right.
Um, have you experienced people using NLP for the dark side?
We have a term here in the Philippines
Mm-hmm.
called budol. Budol means is when like you try to snatch somebody or scam somebody, right? And NLP tools can really be used for that. Like really. So in my sacred space certification, I actually tell them to create some kind of like ethics promise that they only use this for the positive, that they, because they have these tools, then they must be responsible of the way they're going to use this. So
Mm.
in terms of that, I don't know of anyone, I haven't seen with my eyes really somebody doing it. Perhaps it has been done to me when I was younger, like, buying a box full of goodies for a networking thing. I think they used NLP on me. But yeah, so I tried as much as possible, of course, to use it more positively. And you know what? When I got back from San Diego, I told my dad, hey, you know what? I can bend a spoon. Like, watch me. And he said, well, what's that gonna do? Like, that energy and effort of you bending a spoon, what's that gonna do? And it got me thinking like, oh yeah, like that's not purposeful at all. right? So use that energy to something more purposeful. So that's how I use it now.
I love that filter. And I think it could go both ways because I've definitely experienced the dark side
Mm,
of NLP. I think people in the
mm,
United States are probably pretty inclined to be the Sith lords of the NLP
maybe, yeah,
space. But it feels the same. Like, what's the purpose of this? And I've
yeah.
recognized now I can smell it from a mile away,
Mm,
but there's a certain level of pressure, I think, that you experience because it's purposeless. Like it's not, I don't want like in alignment. It's not what I wanted. And suddenly
yeah.
I think I want this thing. It's typically accompanied by a timeline, you know?
Mm,
And so for anybody listening, that's like, how would I, firstly discern if this is happening to me or protect myself? I think my first suggestion, and if you have anything to add, let me know,
mm,
would just simply be like, does this feel purposeful? And
mm,
if you're unsure of that, take the time to answer that question. And if you're being told you don't have that time, then it's not for you. And
mm.
anything that's purposeful for you will be there exactly when it's supposed to be. So that's how I would kind of approach it. I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
I like that thought, and I'd connect it to what I always say:
Mm.
right place, right time, right people. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're there at the right moment, then perhaps it's for you. And if it feels right, if it doesn't, like, get out of the room. This is exactly what I say. Like, when I'm doing
Yeah.
when I'm actually selling, I tell people, hey, I'm selling. And if you're
Yeah.
not here to buy, it's okay. Like, you can get out of the room. But if you're here and you're curious, then stay on, because I'm going to tell you something. But I don't like getting into rooms wherein they don't tell you what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
So honesty for me and transparency is
Mm.
very important.
Okay. Before we move on, I also just want to know, what is NIA?
Okay, NIA, Nia. It's actually Nia.
Oh,
It
Nia.
used to,
Okay.
Nia, right? So they used to call it non-impact aerobics, but the makers of aerobics didn't like that because everything you do has impact, even if it's soft. So they called it something else, which I can't actually, something, okay? But it's
Mm-hmm.
healing through movement, really.
Okay.
So somatic healing through dance, and it has several like dances like jazz. Also, they have taekwondo, yoga, ballet. It's like a combination of different things, and I really love the script. The script that they use, like, feel your feet kissing the earth. And then when you wave your hands, they'll say something like, feel your hands sifting the clouds. So I really like the imagery and the script of
Mm.
the dance. So I got into it.
That sounds beautiful. And it's interesting
Mm,
to me because those words are
mm,
very descriptive. They
super.
help me see and feel what's being described. And that feels really creative to me. I
Yeah.
think you created almost a whole new industry in your country for your people. Do you consider yourself to be a creative or even an artist?
I would say I would be both. I
Mm.
think. Yeah, I think I'm both, because I feel like I created this path, like carved out
Mm-hmm.
dog, created the road, asphalted, cemented this road for everybody else who wants to be on this path, right? And an artist at the same time, because I am the face of it, and then I face clients, I face business owners, communities. So I would say I would be both. And I love creating, like, different things.
What was it like for you? Because I know I started coaching right before it kind of became a real buzzword. And when I first started, I
Yeah.
would tell people I'm a business coach, and they had no idea what that meant. Now they have some ideas about it, but I can't even imagine what it would have been like for you, as a woman in a culture that's
Mm,
completely unfamiliar with this industry, like how did you carve that path? How did you, I'm sure it was challenging. So not only how did you
super.
carve it, but how did you get over the naysayers and the non-believers and the people telling you can't do it?
Who's this Apple guy?
Steve
What's his
Jobs.
name? Steve Jobs has
Mm-hmm.
this quote like, allow the vision to pull you towards the action, like
Mm.
just to act on it. And I think the vision was just so clear to me. Like, no, I'm gonna keep going because I was 24 years old. Can you
Mm.
imagine? So people would tell me, "You're too young. What do you know about life?"
Wow.
Literally, I would
Yeah.
receive that message, and then they would look at me from head to toe, and they'll just have this really like weird face, like, what
For
was
anybody
that?
listening, I wish you could have seen the face that Kimmy just made about the faces that people gave her. It was a
Yes,
classic.
yeah, like, huh, like, coach, what? And they will ask me to do some fortune telling for them, like they thought I was a fortune teller. That was the closest to a coach that
Huh.
they were
Wild.
educated about. Like, they were not educated about it, right? They thought I was a sports coach. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm not very sporty. But now, I do have like e-games clients for coaching, but they were just super lost. And actually, even up to this day, there are so many people who still don't know it. You're correct. Plus, I feel that there's so much space also for growth for coaches over
Mm.
here, but there also has been so many people getting into the business as well. So I'm happy about that. Like, I've been longing for that as well.
Why doesn't competition feel like a negative thing? Or do you even believe in competition? As soon as I said it, I was like, is it even a
Actually,
thing at
like,
all?
yeah, I don't think I'm a competitive person, like with
Mm.
others. I'm competitive with myself. It's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a pros and a cons. Cons would be I don't know much about other coaches, but I think in business you need to know what others are doing. But at the same time, I feel like if I just keep improving on myself, then people will just appreciate that. And I will appreciate that with myself. I also feel like there's so many people who need help. I
Mm.
can't do it all. Like, really,
Yeah.
like, I really can't do it all. So if there's more of us, then that's better.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have like a group of coaches with different niche. And finally, in 2020, the Sacred Space certification happened. But can you imagine, like, for 10 long years, I was serving everyone, meaning people who were grieving, people who had phobias, traumas, people who were breaking up, people who changed careers. Like, it was just everything. And
Mm.
now they're more focused, and I would just help them find their focus, allow that to unfold for their practice as well.
How did you get over some of the inevitable challenges in building and creating a totally new industry, let alone business?
I had to be super creative, like
Mm.
extremely. I mean, I think I'm so proud that I made it very creative. I made life coaching very easy for the palate, very easy for people to understand, or if they don't, then easy to experience. So I collaborated with like a makeup artist. So there were makeup lessons, and then, okay, let's inject confidence in that class. And then, I met like a wine expert, and I said, can we collaborate and let's do an emotions and wine pairing? So we did that as well. And then, like, I also had an ice cream and daydreams. Like, what if we set goals and create dreams while we're creating ice cream? So these things I feel is very creative. It's not the usual lecture of a coach, teaching you how to go from point A to point B, but really allowing it to intertwining it with your daily life.
Mm.
So that's how I did it actually. Like that's really my secret.
That's so fucking cool. I love that. Ice cream and
Yeah.
dreams.
Yes.
Um, so what is your work? I'm doing air quotes around that.
What is my work?
Yeah.
My work is to see the spark in people's eyes.
Oh,
And I
that's
love
like the
that.
most beautiful answer that I've ever heard to that question. Which is kind of why
Because,
I love asking. That was
yes,
delightful. Thank you.
yeah. I mean, because literally when I see their eyes sparkle and spark,
Mm,
I have this, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you to the creator, to the divine for the divine appointment of this job for me, that I get to witness this on a daily basis. Like, I am so grateful, really,
mm.
that this is my job. Like, I'm so privileged.
You mentioned the divine, the creator. So I'm going to
Mm,
assume spirituality is a part of your life. Do you consider
yes.
yourself to be spiritual? Do you weave spirituality into your work? How does it kind of support you and show up for you?
So in the Philippines, we're mostly Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a huge God believer and lover.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just believe that everything is energy, everything is like each person is like there's somewhat like a God in there, like a universe inside of them. So yes, I definitely put in spiritual work with the work that I do. It's a little tough for me when the client is a non-believer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we just go back to like gratitude, like some values that are, I guess, parallel, that are, yeah. But
How does
yes.
spirituality, how does God
Mm-mm.
influence your work and potentially support you, your clients, the work?
I really interject like God into my work, like my prayer before a
Mm-hmm.
session.
Mm-hmm.
I do my prayer like even with angels and the guides. So that's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that lands, like the downloads, I really know it's not from me. It's from somebody
Mm.
higher. The results as well, I know it's not just the person, but also maybe an angel helping out, maybe a guide helping out, maybe God helping out. Everything is divinely guided, I feel, especially when you're intentional about it. So, yeah, I think spirituality is a huge thing for me and my practice.
How did you learn to hear and trust those messages, that guidance?
By listening, by being
Mm-hmm.
quiet, by slowing down. And you know, in the spiritual world, they would say you chose your parents, right? So I would always say, ooh, I chose my parents very well because I literally grew up seeing their work, okay, and attending so many retreats and seminars with them as a young woman. And I would
Mm-hmm.
go, they had a little room, it's called a vigil room, where the names of the participants are there and there are stars. The more stars, the more problematic. So, after the retreat, I would ask, how's this couple? They had like 5 stars. And they're like, oh, how did you know? I'm like, oh, because I prayed for them. So, even at that time, sending love and light, praying for others was already a practice. Like, I feel like I was being trained really to do this job. So I'm so happy that I chose well.
I ask that we kind of started this episode talking about semantics, and I was raised anti theist.
Mm,
So my father's family was Jewish. They were all killed in the Holocaust. He was actually brought up in the Catholic Church. He went to Catholic school because they were pretending to not be Jewish. My mother also had, just very challenging experiences with religion. And it's been a really interesting journey for me to explore religion, spirituality, science. I mean, on some levels, I think science is just a different form of religion. We're often asked to have faith in something that when you truly drill down into it, it's a theory. And we are
Right.
constantly discovering new theories while disproving old theories. So things we thought were fact are no longer. And it's just a different language with the same ask. And when you're creating something totally new, like a business or an industry, or even just a skill set for yourself, I think the only way forward is faith. And it feels like knowing, like it's different than belief. It's different than hope. That kind of suggests like maybe like fingers crossed. Whereas faith is like this confidence, this knowing, like this is just there. And I think culturally what I'm hearing is for you, faith was more available than maybe for some others. But you've discovered how to speak different languages to help people find their faith. And whether it's gratitude, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasters, Tim Ferriss. I mean, just thought leaders and investors and entrepreneurs. He's been one of my OGs. And he was saying that nearly 100% of the most successful people on earth, which he's written several books on, his entire career is just based on finding the highest performers and then understanding what makes them tick. And he would qualify it as a mindset practice. But to me, a mindset practice shows up like setting intention, prayer, reprogramming, NLP, again, prayer, gratitude, like movement. And you see these things like in church or in more like indoctrinated religions, but you also see them in some of the happiest and most successful people. And so I think it isn't, to your point, like you chose wonderfully. And I love that you grew up with kind of medical practitioners. I think people think of therapy being more a part of the medical world and perhaps coaching being a little bit more of the spiritual world. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just kind of what is shaking out, I think, in this moment. How, just culturally speaking, you mentioned Catholic. What does your culture think about like mental health in general?
Right now, they are actually like they're becoming more and more informed about it. So it's good. It's good for the mental health. Of course, prayer is still there. But I think because of the time right now and social media and just the time, they are much more open. And I think Catholicism is also adapting to that, like having homilies around it as well. So it's good. I think we're in a good place in terms of that. I'm not sure about the other more traditional practices, but in terms of Catholicism, I think we're in a good place.
So from my training and my work, I help people understand when we're in that place of despair, of sorrow, of grief. It's almost, I see it as the opposite of creativity. Like it's very challenging to generate new ideas when you don't even know why you're alive.
Right.
How did you get from that place of like crying all night for no reason to pioneer?
Yeah. I think it was when I asked my parents for support and they supported me. It's that faith, I guess, and belief, even if they weren't sure, because there was no life coach. So there's no model or ideal person that I could follow. It's not like, oh, I want to be an architect. There are very known architects, or a doctor. But like a life
Mm-hmm.
coach, like that's so blurry. But they said
Mm-hmm.
yes anyway. So I'm like, okay. And it wasn't cheap. It was expensive. I had to fly there. So it was around, I mean, in pesos, it was like 500,000. And it's
Wow.
10,000, it was $10,000. That's a lot,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So when I got into the room already and I looked around, I said, I'm the only Filipino here. Um, so whatever I learned here, I felt responsible that I need to take this
Mm.
with me and do well, because also my parents trusted me and believe that I can do something out of this class. So I think it was like a healthy kind of pressure. I guess they NLP'd me there in class that I was going to be the beacon of coaching in the Philippines. And so here we are.
That's
Yeah.
fabulous. How do you, so you asked for help and I love
I
that.
asked for help.
Anytime I
Yeah.
finally like release that, it feels like a powder keg, an just obscene amount of pressure. And I start to feel trapped. That's always kind of my worst case scenario.
Mm,
And so as soon as I like put my hand up, I wave my white flag, I reach out to
right.
somebody, I ask for help. I don't even have to do anything. I just
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge I need help. Everything
Right.
shifts for me. It's yeah, it's why I now program help into my life. Like I have a coach, I have
Yeah.
a gym membership, I have a yoga
Yeah.
member. Like I see an acupuncturist. Like that recipe tends to
Right.
change depending on where I'm at, but
Mm,
it's a non-negotiable because I will always talk myself out of it. I
yeah.
will every single acupuncturist appointment. I'm like, I mean, I'm feeling really good. I don't think I need this. Like every morning before I'm supposed to go to the gym, I'm like, you know what? We could sleep in. We worked really hard last time. Like, yeah. So I pay for it because, like you're saying,
Right.
that really holds me accountable, and
Mm,
I make an appointment, and those like
yeah.
things tend to work for me. What does like a day in the life of Kimi, the pioneering life coach, look like? How do you
Um,
create success for yourself every dang day?
this may sound super cliche, but I really have lots of rest, like lots of naps.
Hot
And
tip. I love
yeah,
it.
lots of naps, lots of time in bed. And I guess I was able to, really design my life this way because I love naps. I do a lot of walking as well. Like at 5 p.m., I have an alarm. I'm supposed to walk already. I feel like I'm like you. Like I also have appointments. Like it's in my calendar. If it's in my
Mm-hmm.
calendar, it's not happening. But if it's there, I'm gonna try to make it. But at least it's there. It's an appointment with
Yeah.
myself. I also pay for coaches like personal trainer. I also have my life coach. I also have my business coach. Like I actually believe in paying somebody to help me. Like really,
Mm.
literally walking the talk. I feel like if I ask people to pay me, then why am I not paying somebody as well?
Mm.
Something like that. Today, what did I do? I had several online meetings and sessions, and then I have you at 11 p.m.
Yeah. I mean,
So
we're
that's
pushing midnight for Kimi,
yeah,
everybody. So
sure.
it's intense.
So that's how my day is like. And then I have corporate accounts. I live 1 hour away from the city. So I have Wednesdays and Thursdays in the city, and I serve them in person. I have trainings for them. And then I travel. I love to travel. So I got back Monday and it's now Friday. I haven't gone out of the house. Oh, Tuesday until Friday. And I'm staying here until like for one whole week. I'm staying at home for one whole week. And I love it. But I
I love that.
travel.
we'll share all of this in a minute, but anybody
Yeah.
listening definitely needs to follow Kimi because her
Mm.
travels are they're expanders, which means they might make you a little jealous, but that's a good
Yeah.
thing because then you want to do that. You want to
Yeah.
live that life because it is pretty magical. And
Mm.
speaking of which, Kimi, I feel like I should let you get back to at least your magical rest. I think where are we
No,
at? Yeah, it
we're
is.
good.
It is midnight. I would not be doing this at midnight. So this is a true gift. I'm sure you have some fun things coming up. I would love to know I would love for you to share how people can
Mm.
find you. I know on your website you have a free 10-day meditation course.
Yes,
Is
you're
that
right.
accurate?
Yes,
Yeah.
very
So,
accurate.
one of the reasons I'm so genuinely excited, Kimmy, is the way you
Mm.
make me feel. I don't even have to be in presence with you. The art that you create online, the
Mm.
listening to your voice, like being in connection with you in this moment, that's another sort of secret squirrel tip for people, like how someone genuinely makes you feel.
Mm.
Because you're not doing anything. You're not like blowing sunshine up my skirt or, trying to sell me. Like
Mm-hmm.
what you're just being you. And it
Yeah.
makes me feel excited to be me. And that's pretty fucking cool. But
I love that.
yeah,
I love that.
I love,
Thank you
well,
so
yeah.
much. I
Oh,
mean,
well,
I just want to, like, sometimes I feel like, do I really? Like, I'm really, like, right now I'm questioning, do I really make her feel that? But I'm so happy. I mean, I've been having series of conversations and they keep telling me the same thing. So there must
yeah.
be some truth to that. And I appreciate people who are able to verbalize it. So I appreciate you
Mm.
so much. Thank you for letting me know. And it's so easy also to be in a conversation with you, BZ.
Oh,
So
thanks.
it's easy.
Well, I'm
Easy
genuinely
peasy.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm curious. Like I just want to
Mm.
talk to amazing people. And it's fun because one of the ways I too am trailblazing, I'm doing crazy things that everybody's telling me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong. But
Mm.
it's people like you and the people that keep stumbling into my path that prove I've got to be going in the right direction because
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be talking to you if I
Mm-hmm.
weren't. Like,
Mm.
if I kind of stopped asking for evidence or using evidence to support me because I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like the difference between like belief and faith. It's like, no, I
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's fun when I get the little, like, I call it a green light go from the universe because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I have a podcast with Kimmy on Friday. I'm killing it. So
Yes.
yeah. Anywho, I'm gonna stop fangirling all over you. Will you let people know ways they can work with you or find you or what's coming up for you? All the fun
Absolutely.
things.
Well, the free 10-day they can start with that, the free 10-day meditation
Mm-hmm.
program on kimilu.com. And that is like really going to 10 free one-on-one sessions with me. It's
Wow.
exactly what I tell you on a
Yeah.
one-on-one session. That's what I teach. And it's absolutely for free. Right now, what is exciting, I'm going to be creating a program about manifesting that involves travel. So you take the course
Ooh.
and then we're going to travel. We're going to manifest the travel together, basically.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that. As a traveler,
Mhm.
I love that. I might need to sign
Yes.
up for that one.
I'm coming up with different businesses as well. Exciting. I'm not sure I'm able to disclose that right now, but I'm there in the creation process and it's stretching. Really, I'm also in the space of rebranding, just really elevating the brand. And again, like really stretching and expanding, pushing the envelope. And that's why I feel like I need as much rest as I can get to be able to come up with these creations. You can follow me on Instagram, Kimi Lu Life Coach. I personally reply to the messages. Nobody else has my password. So if you send me a message and somebody replies, that's me.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again for spending your Friday night with us, your late
Absolutely.
Friday
I mean,
night.
I
I
can go on and
appreciate
on.
you. Yeah,
I
no,
feel like
as
I can
as
go
can
on and
I.
on.
But yeah, I just appreciate you so much. And it's just been such a joy. Thank you. And hopefully
Thank
we'll get to do this
you.
again. And then we can go
Yeah.
on and on.
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely yes. Yes, yes. Let's
Okay,
do
cool.
it. Thank
Woo!
you.